Good afternoon or late morning to everyone, depending on where you are today. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Sometimes my audio does some weird stuff. So if I sound like a chipmunk, please let me know. You can give me a affirmation in the questions area if I'm coming through clearly. Anybody? Okay. Maybe I'm not being heard at all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Excellent. All right, so today this is a very straightforward and simple presentation. I know that we've had a lot of interest from faculty in this new feedback initiative, and remember, it is audio and video feedback. So for some of you who may be looking for a fairly easy route in terms of giving audio feedback, as opposed to having to use the video software, the multitudes of video software that are available. This is, I'm going to go through three options. Again, I think we've talked about this in some other tutorials or trainings. I think Hannah did with QuickTime. What we've found, however, is though, for those of you who are Mac users, QuickTime doesn't work as ideally as we would hope, and I'll show you why in a second. So in any case, today all three of these versions are free. Some are a little bit more streamlined and simple to use. One is a bit more complicated, and that's Audition, which you should all have access to with your Adobe Creative or Adobe software suite. I think everybody should have access to that by now. If you don't, then we can try and figure out what the issue is. Okay, so let's just take a quick look. The three that I'm going to go through today are RecordPad. This is through NCH software. I've added this PowerPoint to the handouts, so if you want access to these links, just download the handout. If you go down, you should be able to drag the file onto your desktop or right-click, I think, and download it somewhere to your computer. The second one is Audacity, also free. This is a much more dynamic piece of software that allows you to do more than simply record your voice. And then the last one is Adobe Audition, which is way more than you need. It's overkill simply to record an MP3 for the classroom, but it works, and everybody should have easy access to it through their Adobe account that I believe all faculty, both adjunct and full-time, have. So if not, let me know, and if so, it's an option, but may not be the best one for ease of use because it is a very sophisticated program. What I'm going to show you is how to do the MP3. Now, this is what we've discovered. If you're not saving the file in an MP3 format, then you do not have a media player or an audio player that shows up properly. And that is potentially a big problem. As I've tested this, so for example, if you're doing an M4A, or some of you might have something that records in Windows Media Audio, this will give you a corrupted display. It still works, but what I've found is you can't turn, the autoplay is automatic and you can't turn it off. So let's say you did a bunch of these. I think if a student comes into the discussion thread area, what they're going to end up with is all of their, and this may happen to you as well when you go into the discussion thread after you've placed all of these, all of the audio may play at once. And obviously you do not want that. because it will be a cacophony of unprecedented, unpleasing sounds. So what I'm going to show you today is the three easiest options to make sure, Terry, the reason why is because you get a corrupted audio player that automatically plays. So if you're recording in an MP4 or an M4A, I can't guarantee that the MP4, you can try, everybody is free to try this in their sandbox area. You can try the MP4, and if that works and gives you the proper display, then go ahead and use it. The reason I'm doing MP3 is because we're doing audio that doesn't require, you're not doing a symphony orchestra, so you don't need some high quality audio. You certainly do not want to record in WAV because those are huge files, and I don't think they show up at all as an audio player. So the reason we're going through it this way is simply because we want this to be as quick and easy for everyone to use, without having to do a bunch of hula hoop or going through a bunch of hoops to get to that final piece of feedback that is simple to upload into the classroom as an embedded player. And this is the crux, or the key to the entire thing, is the audio and video feedback. The new policy or the new requirement is that it's an embedded player. So if you're embedding something, and we're actually working on getting Audio Note to work so that it embeds as a player again. It used to be that way, and it looks like there's some configurations we can do to change that. I'll go through that briefly, but it doesn't work yet. So, but I'll explain what I'm talking about. Again, I'm trying to remind everybody that if you're not trying these things out and experimenting in the sandbox, I really recommend that you do. Definitely before you start doing or implementing these in your regular classrooms, make sure that you've got this, you've tested it to make sure that it works properly. And of course, you can add all kinds of things to your sandbox. You can add threads. So for example, I've set up a discussion just for audio video feedback. And then I'm going to do the one for today. So I'm going to start with showing you the RecordPad. And the RecordPad, which I hope you can see all right, I'll put it in the center. It's super streamlined, very basic. It can only save in three formats: MP3, WAV, and AIFF files. Obviously, for your purposes, you want to be saving in MP3. It's incredibly simple to use. You click record. If it is free, I thought, hold on, I think you can just keep using this. Oh, maybe you can't. Huh. Well, it was supposed to be free. Could be, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong on that. Okay, well, let's not be using RecordPad then. So I guess you have two easy options. One is Audacity. Audacity is definitely free. And again, this can do multiple tracks. You don't need to worry about any of that. The version that you download, I think, is defaulted to MP3, so you really don't have to do much of anything. But in this case, once you open it, you simply hit record. You leave your brief audio feedback. Generally, I think for audio, you don't really want to go over 5 minutes. You get into territory at that point where students may just turn off and not finish up with the comments. I think that one of the good things you can do with audio, or the audio feedback, is you can have them open if they've submitted a work, like a a Word document, you can have them open that document, or what I like to do is share screenshots. So if there's something in particular I want them to be listening to or dealing with, I'll take a screenshot of the Word document, maybe some things that are highlighted, could have some review in there as well. And then you can have them look at that while they're listening to the audio. And that way they've at least got some kind of visual to go by or go with as you're kind of narrating the feedback. So once you've done, so you can see I've paused or stopped it in this case. That file is just sitting there waiting for me to do something. The thing with Audacity is when you're recording, if you want to save what you've recorded, you're exporting the audio. You're not saving a project. The project is just the architecture of the recording, so that you could keep adding new tracks if you wanted to. So you're only doing export audio. This is where you're going to see I've got it. I've added a library that allows me to save in a big variety of file types. The MP3 comes with the default settings. And if there's any issue with that, please just get a hold of me through email, jhockett@aii.edu. I'll show you that again. I'll actually send it out to you. So I'm going to save this, and I just want to show you what is happening. So I hit OK. It's now saved. Now when I go back into the classroom, this is where I'm showing you how to, this is the exact same process that you would use for any video feedback that you've done. So in this case, I've got testing, which is the one I just did, and I upload. It's always going to ask you for a link text. The reason you might want to make sure that you're doing something, if you want to be using this perhaps for more than one student, something that may be more generalized, give it a very specific naming convention so that you can use the search later. If it's something that you're only going to be doing once, it doesn't really matter what the link text is. So if you're just in a hurry, just type in something. Otherwise, you can put the student's last name and maybe the milestone and task, and then hit insert. So see that you've got a very clean looking audio player. Now I hit play or post. But in this case, once you open it, so now you've got something that the students can automatically go in and click. Now I want to show you what happens. Say I accidentally, if you're using QuickTime, for example, the Mac users, that saves an M4A, and that will not, this is what you get, and you're not going to like it. And I don't think the students are going to like it because, like I said, I think that in most browsers, it will automatically start playing. So if I reply to thread again, I insert stuff, go to my computer, choose the file, and I do an M4A, you'll see that you get, well, in this case, you get a link. So it's not, what it's not doing is giving you that option, or giving you the media player that you want to have for fulfilling the new requirements. And I think, Terry, I believe that this is the problem. I'll test it out for you just to see, but I think that's the problem as well if you're doing with MPEG-4. Although I don't know if this can even do MPEG-4. I don't have MPEG-4 for this, but I can do it for Adobe Audition, so I'll test it out there. So in any case, what you don't end up with is a playable file, which is what everybody's going to want to see. In this case, it still links. Oh, that's weird. Generally speaking, it will link to a file, I just want to show you what Audio Note does. We got 5 minutes, so I want to make sure we're going to do up to 1:20, and then I'll stop the recording, and then we will have a question and answers session if you have any. So what we've got in here now is the record audio, which it works. The problem is if you're recording the audio, you've only got 3 minutes, which isn't necessarily a big problem. The problem is so when you do the ad for this one, you end up with a link. So you see that it creates this HTML link as an attachment, which you can put into the response window. And when you click on it, well, it definitely doesn't work. That's part of the testing that they're doing. Okay, so there it goes. So it's there, and it still opens in the problem is it still opens in the audio player, but you have to click on it, and this is not going to work to fulfill the policy. So this is why I'm showing you the MP3 options. I'll quickly go through. Audacity is Audition is very similar to Audacity, except much more, as far as I'm concerned, when you look at it, much more intimidating. This would be if you have access to your Audacity or to your Adobe account. You have to go in and set it up so that, or turn it on. You get a list. I don't have that with me or in front of me right now. When you go into the Adobe, you can from there up. I guess it's technically an install, but you would install Audition. So you would hit record. Again, title it, whatever. And now I can just record again. Same, it's very similar to the options for Audacity. Once I'm done doing the recording, I hit stop. And again, instead of saving a project, you're exporting. And this is important that you just keep that in mind, because you're not creating an actual file if you're not doing export. So you export, and again, this is where you get many, many options. So again, MP3 is what I want. And you hit save, and then again, you go back into the classroom, find the file that you created. In this case, I believe I put it in a different folder. Obviously, you'd like to have your, oh, there it was. Obviously, you'd like to have your folders kind of set up prior, so that it's all going to the same spot. Okay, in any case, there you go. You've got the automatic upload for the media player so that it's embedded and ready for the student to click on. So those are the two easiest ways. If you find another piece of software, for example, QuickTime seems to default in MPEG-4. So if you're using the QuickTime, which is a software that's automatically loaded on Macs, if you're using QuickTime for audio, you're probably going to run into those same problems again, where you get this kind of corrupted player, and it will start auto playing as soon as you go into it. Just to show you again, I think I can show you what that looks like, because I've had it. So if I go in here, yeah, you can see that, and I don't even know which one it is, but there it is. So that automatically uploaded. So as soon as I went into the discussion thread, it started playing, and there was no way, there's no option for me to turn it off. So this is what you may run into, Terry, if you're just using the audio recordings. So give me 1 second. I'm going to stop the recording for the training.